Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Al Rosen.
Welcome to our Zoom classroom meeting for Basic AutoCAD, CAD 116. This week, we're going to cover Module 7. Module 7 is on dimensioning, and if we look at our outline of topics, we can go here to Content, Outline of Topics, and the PDF's open quickly, so we'll open that up. Today is March 28th, and we're scheduled to cover dimensioning, chapters 16 through 19. Next week is Easter Sunday. It's a holiday, but yet at the other end of it, it's not a day off. And so we will have an open lab session next week. We will not hold an online Zoom meeting, but we will respond to any questions that students have for next week. And we'll continue through our outline of topics as we have them here. And so utility commands will be the next thing on the agenda. Then drawing section views and hatch patterns, chapter 23, blocks and block references. And then we'll go through and we'll start reviewing for the final exam, which will be on May 2nd. May 16th is the last day to complete all the work. Back to our main splash page. And Al, maybe you could talk a little bit about the assignments.
Yes, be fantastic. What we're looking for is pick one of the drawing that we do this week. You have two mechanical drawings that are there, the first one and also the second one down over there is the L pin. So you have both of them that you can do. We have also architectural one like we always used to do, try to get out there. And that's two doors, one front of it, one the other side is the larger door. That's those two areas. And that's papers with it. It's on that content page that we have. Right below it, there's the books. So if you don't have the book in front of you and you are online like you're supposed to be, there automatically goes right to it.
So the assignment is to do one drawing, either one of the mechanicals or the architectural, or you can do all three. We do have a lot of students who are doing all the work, which is terrific. We will go through and we'll give you the bonus points. And then as we look at the content and the learning objectives, this week, we're covering dimension standards and styles. And so we're going to look at dimension standards and practices. They're different, whether you're architectural or mechanical or civil. And that's one of the good things about AutoCAD is that it does, it works with a lot of different dimensioning standards rather than just mechanical, like some of the manufacturing CAD softwares. We'll look at setting up scale and managing dimension styles. How to apply dimensions, linear dimensions, angular dimensions, datums, content. How we would, let me start that sentence again. So the learning objectives in dimensioning are specific. When we get into how to work with dimensions, we want to be able to follow these learning objectives. Linear, angular, datums, sort of the nuts and bolts of how everything works. And then this one we needed to convert to a PDF. There's always a little glitch here and there, but essentially working with radial dimensions like circular shapes, arcs, working with dashes and center lines or line types, multi-leaders, a lot of really good content in dimensioning. Al, you've also got the book links as well. So if we click on this link right here, we go to the textbook chapter on dimensioning standards and styles. And as we look at that, you want to go through and read the textbook because the textbook does a great job of explaining the process of working in the drafting field, whether it's mechanical or architectural, and the terminology used as well. Things like unidirectional dimensioning, meaning that all the dimensions are horizontal and are read from the bottom of the sheet. You'll recognize it after you read it and you start to understand the specifications for these dimensions. An architectural example, notice we're working in feet and inches here. And then talking about things like location dimensions. Dimensions to manufacture something or to build it require specific dimensions as to the features that they're highlighting. Dimensions are annotative, meaning that if you update a dimension, the size will update. And then some of the other information that makes dimensions kind of tricky is to be able to calculate things like dimension scales. And so you can kind of see these are tiny little dimensions here. And so what we do in the videos and part of the assignments is to actually show you how to set up dimension scales. We don't use annotation dimensioning in the first class because it's really not a standard. It's sort of an adaptive text height depending on how you've set things up. And the old school way of calculating out the viewport scale and dimension is really the best way to do it. And so that's sort of how we highlight how to work with the dimension style manager and how to create these different dimension styles for both mechanical and architectural. Basically, we start at the left side and work the tabs to the right. And there's a lot of technique. So go through and read the chapters on dimensioning and dimensioning styles. If we look at 17, it continues to drill down into standardization. Standardization for mechanical drawings, how to adjust dimensions, how to add symbols like the diameter symbol. Aligned and rotated. Everything is not straight. Everything is not perfect as far as the numbers go. Using break sections, the language of drafting and the terminology used for that. And so then if we look at the 18, and somehow I think I glitched because this looks like it's the same one, right? Yeah. So if I go to the textbook, our digital textbook, we're covering the basics. And if we look at 18, working with other things like multi-leaders and dimension styles and line type styles. When you dimension the diameter, you want a diameter symbol versus a radial symbol. People in manufacturing understand that you'll use a drill or some other tool to create that. And those are typically measured in diameters because we don't want to have to do calculations on the shop floor. Things like calling out hole details, and then the terminology for that. And so this is what's called geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. And it's a language, diameter symbol, counter bore, and then depth of that counter bore. Here's a spot face, and here's a counter sink. So we want you to learn the vocabulary for drafting, mechanical, and architectural. With that, let's take a look at our assignments. Here's the first mechanical assignment. Whoop, this is the architectural one. And you'll download and open the architectural title block and draw in detail the doors. Not a real difficult assignment, but again, we're in a basic level class, and this is the type of thing that a beginning detailer would do. mechanical. And here's our dimensions for this.
It shows B-size paper used, please.
Correct. And we've gone through enough times showing you which title blocks to use. But if you do have any questions, just email us. And here's another mechanical, and we're upping the level of knowledge by including GD and T symbols, or geometric dimensioning and tolerancing, because when you really start to work with manufacturing today, the machines are extremely accurate to 4 decimal places, even 5. But as you go and you start to learn how to design for manufacturing, all of those things cost. And so the higher the dimensional tolerancing, the more precise the machine needs to be set, and typically the more it costs. But yet at the other end, the parts that you can make with a CAD CAM system are so accurate that that's where we're going with it. If you're going to work for an aerospace company, the wages are very high and the level of expectations are high. And so being able to understand and read prints is an area that this course will lead you to understand. Okay, so those are the mechanical assignments and the architectural assignments. And then from a standpoint of being able to work on these assignments, we can go to the content section and we can go to chapter 7 in the labs. And so here's our labs laid out for you. Here's our link to Oakton CAD. And so there's just some really great content here. You know, here's some more information about this mechanical drawing. There's some additional drawings if you want to work with those. And then here's how we used to work before D2L. We just made these web pages. And the things that are important, like associative dimensioning, paper space, being able to dimension text and create dimension styles. Back to 7. And sometimes my browser glitches a little bit. Here's our video for module 7. If we click on it, it'll go through and show you how to create that. And then if we continue down here, here's the PDFs, here's our ARC lab. And these are the exercises from the end of the chapter. And you're encouraged, if you want to really get into learning the CAD software, to go through the exercises, but they're not required, as are the review questions. Not required, but that's excellent content. Okay, so that's our quick review of module 7. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Al to kind of close out our Zoom session and talk a little bit about anything that I might have missed.
Nothing, not at all. Just some content. If you want to have the B-size paper, if you don't have it, or architectural paper, it's on the content. Joe, if you want to go there real quick, just one more time, please. And if you go down a little bit until you see B-size paper, paper size down there, there you are. You click on that one, it shows you all the paper size that we have. So it should be a problem for you. All you have to do is click on it and the T comes up, drawing file, template file.
Right, so for example, if you're working on an architectural drawing, you want to use the standards that we've set up for you within these B-size title blocks.
There it goes.
Terrific. And then if we come back to our main splash page, again, you know, there's a lot going on out there. And so we just want a nice, stable course for you. And that's what we have. Follow the outline of topics. And that's the plan. We will continue to work through the outline of topics. If we take one last look at that. Today's the 28th. We're working with module 7. Don't forget to do the quizzes.
Yes, please.
And then next week, we will release module 8. We won't have a Zoom meeting due to the holiday, but yet, again, you know, the college doesn't have that as a, well, right. So we do hold and continue to run the course. And then things will go by pretty quick once we hit April. We'll go into drawing and sectioning, blocks and references, and then we wrap up. So with that, I'm going to end our Zoom meeting, and we'll post this recording on the main splash page. Any questions, please email us or instant message us, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks, and we'll see you online.
Have a nice time. Bye now.